like to begin my remarks this evening by telling a story about a British statesman, William Gladstone. He served in Great Britain in the 19th century as Prime Minister. In a career lasting 60 years, he served 12 years as Great Britain's Prime Minister. Shortly before he died in 1898, he gave a speech in which he told about an ambitious young man who visited him seeking professional advice. "So what do you want to do after you graduate college?" Gladstone asked. The young man replied, "I want to attend law school, sir, just as you did." "Well, that's a noble goal," said Gladstone. "What then?" "Well, I hope to practice law, make a good name for myself by defending the poor and the outcasts of society, just as you have done, sir." "Well, that's a noble purpose," replied Gladstone. "What then?" "Well, sir, I hope one day to stand for Parliament, become a servant of the people, as you have done, sir." "Well, that too is noble. What then?" "Oh, I would hope to be able to serve in Parliament with great distinction, evidencing integrity and concern for justice, just as you have done, sir." "Well, that's very noble," said Gladstone. "What then?" "Well, I hope to serve the government as Prime Minister with the same vigor, dedication, vision, and integrity as you have done, sir." "Fabulous," said Gladstone. "What then?" "Well, I hope to retire with honor and write my memoirs, even as you are presently doing, so that others could learn from my mistakes and my triumphs." "All of that is very noble," said Gladstone. "What then?" The young man looked puzzled. "Well, sir, I haven't got that far yet." "Young man," said Gladstone, "the only advice I have for you, go home. Think of your end game." I am approaching my end game in the rabbinate, not my life, but just as your rabbi. And I do so with profound gratitude and love. Talmud teaches a lesson: a life that has no purpose is not well lived. You cannot just bob around as if you're on Noah's Ark without a sole aim other than survival. You have to have a destination, a rudder, a compass, a goal, a purpose. We need to be able, all of us tonight, all of us, to answer that fundamental question: what then? As I approach the end of my professional life, I want to focus on three very precious things in my life that have been my purpose. First, this congregation. Second, the state of Israel. And finally, my family and my legacy. Beth Or, my friends, has never been in a better place. While I am not at the end of my career, though that'll come in June, I am, to use a familiar baseball cliche, rounding third base. And I see a shul that is vibrant, engaging, and creative, a membership that is devoted and stable. Our finances are strong, our preschool and religious school overflowing with young, eager faces and supportive parents. Our leadership is poised to embrace the future, and I think I will be leaving you in very good hands. My dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Jason Bonder, will take you places that I simply cannot imagine. He already is an excellent partner to me, and he will be a superior senior rabbi. I will happily watch on the sidelines while he, Rabbi Lefkowitz, and Cantor Murley lead you all forward. You will have an excellent clergy team in place. I love this congregation. I've devoted my life to it. And our community, I want to remind you, is part of something very grand, something historic and vitally important. The synagogue is the oldest and most important religious institution in continued existence. We are tasked with the most important goal ever in the Jewish community, and that is to raise and educate Jews. I have said this before, and you've heard me say it, but it bears repeating. Many organizations that are worthwhile out there save Jews. but only the synagogue makes Jews. If we fail, there will be no Jews needing saving. So believe in this shul, believe in your membership, believe in making sure that this congregation endures and thrives 100 years from now. We are truly a unique congregation. We truly are. That is why I believe we are so strong. You've heard me say it before, but I'd like to remind you again. The holiest sound I have ever heard is what I am privileged to hear at the end of every service. At the end of services tonight, it is the sound of 1,000 kisses, all at the same time. The sound of 1,000 good yontifs. The sound of people hugging each other and smiling and greeting each other. As I have learned from Amy Abrams, my wonderful partner for 10 years, and before that, she told me, culture eats mission and vision for lunch. Culture defines the organization, not your vision, not your mission. And we have an amazing culture here. Not all shuls put their arms around each other and sway back and forth at the end of Kol Nidre. Not all shuls begin services with a moment of friendship and greetings, turning to your left and your right. It is remarkable, it is enviable, it is warm, it is real, it is sincere, and it is true. Standing up here and seeing you embrace one another is a sight I will take with me for the rest of my days. And I'd like to think that I had some role in creating this vibe. Please don't lose it. We may come here for the programs. We may come here to educate our children, but we will stay because we feel valued, because we feel loved, because we feel appreciated. And I will consider it a personal gift to me if you safeguard that preciousness of this congregation. Second, let me turn to the state of Israel. I have a confession to make, and I've never said this to you before, and I've never admitted it. But I always had a fear about being a rabbi and a lover of the state of Israel. I was always afraid deep down inside that I might find myself one day up here on the pulpit having to explain to you and comfort to you if, God forbid, something catastrophic occurred in the state of Israel. I grew up with my rabbi, Leon Kronish, Zichrono Livracha, crying from the bima on the Six-Day War, lamenting as the news was coming in about the Yom Kippur War. And I imagined the nightmare of a cataclysmic destruction again, and I would be left up here alone, trying to make sense of it all. What would I say? What would I do? Thankfully, that day never came, but we are still witnessing a time of terrible distress and catastrophe stemming not from external threats, but rather from internal threats. Let's be honest, Israel's democracy is being undermined by forces that will erode the strength of the state of Israel. The rights of minorities will be undermined. The judicial system is being weakened. And the radical right is taking excessive control of the government in relationship to its numbers. I am pained and worried. So where do I find solace? Where do I find comfort? I found it, ironically, in studying the portion that we're going to be reading in a few short days. It is talking about the end of Moses' life, and I find a remarkable lesson in it. At the end of Moses' life, he has every reason to be aggrieved. Even though he lived during miraculous times and participated in wondrous moments, he was betrayed again and again and again. God compelled him to go to Pharaoh, leave his wife and his children to confront evil, and he did so. Miriam then insulted him and spoke ill about his relationship with his wife. Aaron, his brother, built a golden calf while he was on the top of Mount Sinai receiving the 10 Commandments. He turned his back for a moment. It was actually 40 days and 40 nights, but who's counting? And in the meantime, he and the community abandoned him and committed an egregious sin of idolatry. And the people of Israel, far from being grateful for their liberation from bondage, spent 40 years complaining about the food, the lack of water, and the poor air conditioning. And then, at the end of Moses' life, God punishes him one more time for a minor sin of striking a rock rather than speaking to it. He was to die unfulfilled in exile, just on the outskirts of Israel. He could see the land, he could smell the richness of the dates and the honey, but he died unfulfilled in the wilderness of Moab, and he is buried in an unmarked grave. You want reasons to be angry and disillusioned and disappointed and betrayed? Moses had it all. And so Moses teaches us something. In the final moment before he's about to die, God says, take your spirit and put it on Joshua, that Joshua can lead the people forward. Put your hand on his shoulder. And so what does he do? He doesn't put one hand on his shoulder. He puts both his hands on his shoulder. And it might be something very casual and unremarkable to most readers, but to me it speaks volumes. Have you ever shaken a person's hand, and because you are so overwhelmed in the moment, you grab both their hands because you love them so? Moses blessed Joshua affectionately with both hands. He went beyond the decree of the one-handed benediction and gave a double blessing. Like Moses, we feel betrayed by the state of Israel. The people have not betrayed us, but the government has. But we must not turn away. I will, and I hope you will, do what Moses did. Give a double blessing. Rather than turn away, we need to be even more engaged. I will consider it a personal gift if this congregation safeguards its relationship to the land and the people of Israel. And finally, allow me to do something I rarely do on the high holidays. I want to talk about myself. I usually don't. Expanding on my opening story of the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a counterintuitive teaching. The end is better than the beginning. Let me read it to you again. The end is better than the beginning. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't the first day be better than the last day? Isn't the first day of our vacation better than the last day of our vacation? Shouldn't it have been better when I came here and I was 32 years old? I had black hair, no double chin. I could stand straight. Shouldn't those days be better? No, I think the end can be better than the beginning. Because unlike when I came here when I was 32 years old, I am overflowing with gratitude. I look out and see not a congregation, but I see a community of friends. I see faces of children that I have blessed on this bima who became bar and bat mitzvah. I see faces of couples that I married under the chuppah. I see our leaders who have given so much for the benefit of others. I look out and I see you sitting in your usual seats as you always do on the high holidays, and it somehow comforts me because I look out and I see you and somehow all is right in the world for me. It gives me peace to know that you're there. I see the faces of people who used to sit in these seats and are no more. and I remember them. I look out and would say, that seat is vacant, but miraculously, the next year, it's filled by another. And so somehow we move on, even as life changes. I see the faces of my coworkers who have assisted me in the mission of building this congregation. And I am grateful for all of my blessings. There's a saying in the Talmud, the wine belongs to the owner, yet thanks somehow are given to the butler. Too often when things go well, we thank the wrong people. So let me use this opportunity as a moment to thank the right people in my life. First, the intelligent, the thoughtful, the insightful life partner, Lori Singer-Marx. I thank you for comforting me in trouble, for making me laugh, for standing by my side in some of the darkest moments of my life. I am who I am because of you. I have done what I did because you guided me. You offered me counsel, and you loved me through it all. I say it publicly. I love you with all my heart. I want to thank my children, Daniel, Joe, and Rika, who have found your own place in the world and at the same time embraced your faith, your people, your Zionism. You have given me incredible nachas, and I am grateful that you have found wonderful life partners in Ty, Kayla, and Rima. You are the source of tremendous happiness to Lori and me. And for those of you who know what it is like to be a grandmother or a grandfather, being a pops is absolutely fabulous. I'm grateful that my mom, Doreen, sent me to Israel back in 1972 with my confirmation class and introduced me to an adult version of Judaism. I'm grateful that you're now living in the area and can share in our lives once again. And I pray for continued health and joy for you. During my tenure here, I've been encouraged by Beth Or leaders whose names are on the sanctuary wall. I am grateful to all of you, not just who are extremely generous, but who have given of yourself. I pray that you appreciate the noble undertaking that you have pursued. I am thankful for my professional partners, Barbara Murtha, my administrative assistant, for over 25 years. Our executive director, Robin Minkoff, Amy Abrams, Liz Hirsch, and Bill Doties, Zichrono Livracha, who have guided me and this community steadily and with wisdom. I have served with 17 presidents, 17 executive boards, and there are just too many to recognize now, but let me focus on one, on Leslie Weiss, who serves now and gives us her time, her energy, and her heart to help us all. You are a breath of fresh air, full of energy, joy, passion, and wisdom. I'm grateful for all of my partners who I've worked with over these years, educators, Mr. N. Aaron Nilsson Schultz, his predecessor, Susan Edelstein, and her predecessor, Rabbi Laura Abrasley. I have been privileged to help train and partner with a number of rabbis who are at this moment on their own pulpits, hopefully talking just like me. Rabbi Yerushalmi, Rabbi Frisch, Rabbi Axler, Rabbi Gerber, and now Rabbi Bonder and Rabbi Lefkowitz. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize the partners in this congregation on the other end of the building. Sarah Baum, Sharon Carlin, Judy Trias, Jillian Glick. I have long believed that Sharon and Sarah have the hardest job in this congregation, dealing with all of those children and all of those anxious parents. I and Jason and Melissa, we're down here in our ivory tower. You guys are doing the hard work of this congregation, and we would not be here we would not be as strong as we are were it not for your dedication and your sacrifice. We are part of something very noble. We are part of something very grand. And finally, I want to take a moment and I want to thank God. I want to, in the quiet moments of my heart, say a shehechianu, that I have reached this moment and that we, as partners in this congregation, are stronger together. There are some who will say, oh, beginnings are wonderful, but so are endings, because endings can be moments filled with gratitude. If you're a rabbi for 35 years, you cannot help but get a lot of things wrong. So to those whom I have hurt by not being there for you or for poorly chosen words, I apologize. I've tried to do the best that I can, but I am human and I am fallible. And I admit that at times I have failed to live up to the best and the noblest in all of us. I will try to do better in my final year and certainly in my retirement. I am retiring, my friends, while I consider myself still reasonably young. One friend in the shul still, when he sees me, and he's been doing this for 35 years, still calls me young man. I like that. In fact, I like it even more. I want to leave you before you start saying things like, when is this guy gonna go? I would like to age privately and with as much dignity as possible. Second, the Jewish world is changing dramatically, and we need some new ideas. Those of you who know me well know that I am an old school rabbi. But we are living in an age of AI, Zoom, and digital communities. It's time for some new ideas, and Rabbi Bonder is just the guy to take you there. As I have said before, I have faith in him and in his abilities. He has over again and again and again risen to the challenges presented to him, and he has trained himself in all areas of this position. And finally, I want to have some time to live on my own schedule. Mark Twain once satirized a human tendency to overwork ourselves when we're young, and then when we're older, not have the time to enjoy the fruits of our labors. He wrote beautifully, the first half of life consists of the capacity to enjoy without the chance, and the last half consists of the chance without the capacity. So what now? I want to have the chance and the capacity to live as abundantly as I can. I pray that I have strengthened this congregation. Lori and I came here 35 years ago, and we found a reasonably small shul, yet dynamic, engaging, full of passion, and with tremendously large dreams. I am preparing to leave you now, but I hope that I have strengthened you and helped you fulfill those dreams. In the deepest parts of my soul, I am filled with gratitude because you have given me far more than I have given you. You have given me the greatest honor of my life, being your rabbi. God bless you all.